so what we're doing here now is the cable was damaged a little bit further down, so we had to sheath it back, and we took off the metal turn plate. This is an older drop, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to score the outside of this and break this apart, bend it around a little bit, try not to cut the pairs inside. Should be able to pull this sheathing right off. There's the 4 pairs that are inside. So those right there is what we're going to go ahead and connect. The other pairs too. Clean this up a little bit. And then this right here is a 3-pair drop. We're going to go ahead and prep this 3-pair drop about right there. Bend it a little bit, get that inside turn plate to break. We can pull that apart, and there's our 3 pairs right there. So then we need to make sure that the ground is good on both sides, and we have a proper grounding of the drop. So we'll ream this one more time. Not breaking that inside turn plate. We'll go ahead, remove that. Try not to cut ourselves. That turn plate's pretty sharp, so you gotta watch your fingers. So now, we are only gonna use the blue and the orange. We're not going to use the green. So we're just going to go ahead and cut that green off for now. Typically you'd leave it in there, but we don't need to today, since it's only a 2-pair drop, and then the other end's a 2-pair drop going to the house. So we'll go ahead, and these are Scotch-Lock connectors. Go ahead and grab our Scotch-Lock crimpers. Take our blue, white, a little cold out today, and we'll make sure they're all the way in. We can see them through the back. You gotta make sure that they're all the way in. And we can
possibly keep them inside of the Scotch locker.
Yeah. Once they're in both sides, we'll crimp that all the way down. We see that both sides have made contact and connected, and we'll keep on splicing. Grab another one, slide it in, hold it, make sure that they're in all the way. Crimp it. Over here, we'll connect the other 2 together. There's one. It's crimped, and here's the second one. Once that's in all the way, we'll go ahead and crimp that down too. All right, so that side is connected. So now we are going to go ahead, open up our buried drop kit, and we're going to go ahead and dump that out. First thing we're going to do is, here's the cap and here's the bonding clamp. We're going to go ahead and take our bonding clamp and connect this on and screw this in place. once it gets down to a ways, it kind of won't go anymore. So we'll take our snips and we will gently use the snips to help connect that bond a little bit more. Once that's in place and it's tight, a little more. Once that's in place, we will take some tape. And tape that up. Adds a little extra support. Cut our tape. That's going to hold that in place. That won't go anywhere. Then we'll take one of these grommets. We'll pull out, since we have 2 drops, we're going to pull out 2 of those. And place that around there. Next, inside here it comes with a little protective sheathing so that keeps all the pairs in place. We will go ahead and push that into there. And what I usually do is I usually push this down a little bit on there. It kind of helps it from falling off, keeps it in place. Then we'll grab the other one, still with the 2 connectors still in there, so that once we pour the encapsulant, it doesn't slide out. We will go ahead and place one side in here. Oh, the other side. Usually when you're pouring these, you want to make sure that the hole is on the high side. Makes it easier to ensure that you're getting all the encapsulant in there. Put the bottom end. Push this inside. Once all that is inside, we can go ahead and close this. And we can start to snap these little snaps in place. Push the sides in a little bit, make sure everything's in there nice and straight. And we are going to grab our tape. See how it pops apart a little bit? That's why we will go ahead and we will put a little bit of tape around the outside. It's a little cold out here today. This tape doesn't want to stick too well. Tight. What that will do is that will hold it all together to ensure that it's not moving anyway. Once you get to the other side of the hole, you'll wrap this side, still pulling up on the tape, pulling it tight. Now we got everything in place. We'll leave the tape on, still not connected, because next we're going to push down a little bit on the inside, because we have some encapsulant. As soon as we have the encapsulant, what we do is we go ahead and open the bag. Usually it's 2 parts with a wafer on the inside, which is stopping the 2 compounds from mixing together. So what we want to do is, usually in the summertime, these things set up pretty quick. We're going to flip this wafer inside of the container, and then these 2 compounds will shake it up, and then there's a chemical reaction that's going to happen, and it's going to start to get really hot. So as soon as it starts to get a little warm, we are going to go ahead and pour this into that hole and finish taping around it. So right now we're going to go ahead and pop the wafer like that. And we're going to start to shake this up. Typically on a cold day, it will go ahead and mix a whole lot better if you put these on the defroster of your truck. So right now this is going to take a little bit longer. So we're just going to go ahead and shake this sucker up and feel it. As soon as it starts getting warm, then we'll go ahead and start to pour. Not warm yet.
In the summer, how long does it take to get warm?
Oh, it takes about 30 seconds.
And then if they don't pour quick enough, what happens?
Then it will start to harden and you won't get any more in there. And then you'll create a pocket of air that's in there that water can get inside, and then you can go ahead and it'll have some other trouble later on, which is something that you don't want.
Great. Is it getting warm yet?
Now it's starting to get a little warm. Okay. Now since it's warm, also inside of this bag, there is a blue cap. This is the cap that we're going to cap on that and tape it up. So keep that aside, right close by. And a tongue depressor to help you stuff down. I found these tongue depressors are a little wide for the hole. So what I usually do is I trim it back a little bit, which gives me a little bit smaller area to push down. So now since this is warm, I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the cap, and I will start to pour this inside. And when you pour it, tilt it up so it fills the whole cavity inside. Meanwhile, when I'm pouring, something I'm looking at is looking at over here to make sure there's no encapsulant draining out the bottom, whether if I didn't have a good seal or not. And there's none draining out, so I know I did it correctly. So we're just going to keep on pouring this inside slowly.
Do you recommend they wear gloves when doing this?
I do recommend that you wear gloves, just in case you get this on your hands. It's a little hard to get off. So we'll go ahead and top off the rest of that. Move it back and forth, and we're just going to go ahead and take our little stick, pour that in there. And if we happen to have any more left in here, we'll go ahead and squeeze the rest of that in there. So right now, since these wires were a little bit smaller, there was a little bit extra room that this didn't quite fill. So what I do is I go ahead and squeeze it a little bit, keep it level, and squeeze it so that all the air comes out. And then I will go ahead and take this blue cap and I will push it down on there. Then I'll take the tape, which I have down below, and then I will pull it tight and tape up the top. Once I am done taping up the top, I will go ahead and cut my tape on the top. Make sure these are still in place. That's holding the encapsulant in. And I will take the tape and I will put a little bit of tape around the two pairs down below just to keep them straight. doesn't have to be too tight down here. That's just to stop those from pulling apart. And then I'll go ahead and cut my tape. And then in about 15 minutes, this will be extremely hot and it will set up. And right now, it is ready to bury. And we can go ahead and bury that, and that should last a very long time. All right, thank you very much. The next video, I'll show you how to go ahead and place a Ranger splice, which is a reenterable splice that a technician later on can go ahead and open up and test the pairs from whatever direction, and they can be able to access it by, we're also going to place a little protective cover over the top, which is, some people call them a flower pot, some people call them a turtle, and they'll be able to get access to that cable and do further testing and isolation. Thank you.